as a family tonight is that much of our pursuit for matrimony is in reverse, because the pains that we hear are from women whose feet are tired from running after a man, when that has never been the biblical principle or the biblical standard. There are some things first that I want to say to sisters, and then I will backdoor and bring the brothers into the conversation. That here is a man, we get no further than Genesis chapter 3, when the Lord has created a man in his likeness and in his image, and he gives him dominion, he gives him authority, and he tells him to subdue the earth. That you ought to have power, you ought to have control. Not only are you supposed to have power and control, notice this, he tells him to have dominion and to have authority over animals, not over the woman. And you will never be successful in having an anointed woman trying to have authority over her when you still got your animals out of check. There has got to be an alignment that takes place, that she's able to say, are you able to check the animals you were with first before it is that you understand who it is that I am? So watch what God does. God sets up this man. He anoints him and makes sure that he's in the image and in the likeness of God. And when he creates him to make sure that he is a man, what makes him a man? There is no circumcision for Adam. There is no rites of passage for Adam. There is no mentorship class for Adam. There's not even a Tuesday night panel for Adam. What makes Adam right for a woman? You will note that when God created Adam, he did not just bring Eve automatically. There's some things that man needed to have in place before it is that a woman could show up on the scene. The first thing that Adam had to have, God could not bring Adam a woman if Adam didn't have somewhere to live. He had to have his own place to live where he had dominion over that. It didn't have his mother's name on it. God help me. This was his place, because if he cannot provide for himself, he will not be able to provide for his family. Not only does he have a place to live, but he is operating in his God-given authority. God tells the man, all of these animals belong to you, but it is up to you to name them. Name the creeping things, name the crawling things, name the flying things, and whatever you name them, that's what it's going to be. Adam says, God, you have all power. He says, yes, but I am relinquishing power, or I am sharing power for you to name the things that are in your life. So whatever it is that you name it, that's what it's going to be. Adam says, if I want that to be an eagle, what is it? God says, that's an eagle. I want that to be a caterpillar. What is it? That's a caterpillar. I want that to be a giraffe. Then what is it? It's a giraffe. God was listening intently for what he would call the animals, to see where he was in maturity. When he finally completed naming all the animals, then God brought forth the wife. This is very important. Every man, before he gets to a wife, will have to go through animals first. And he's got to be able to know that an animal is not wife material. If in fact you fall in love with an animal that is not a wife, that's bestiality. And so many men keep falling in love with animals, and so when a woman shows up, they don't know how to handle it, regard it, and revere it, because they're so used to being with the animals. He had the animals there in front of him. He knows his authority. He knows his dominion. He knows his place. But here it is. He also knows the voice of God. He's got to know the voice of God for himself first before he will respond to the voice of a woman. So God is speaking to him, giving him directions, leading him, showing him his territory, showing him his jurisdiction. Then God puts him to sleep. A man will not be able to receive his God-given woman if he has not learned the ability to sit still. If he does not know how to rest and find out what God has for him and is always trying to control something, then he will not be in a place to receive what it is that God has for that man. It is very interesting to note that God then pulls the woman out of him. So as a consequence, she is a reflection of who he is. He cannot love you when he does not love him. Y'all just missed that. It'll be impossible for a man to fall completely in love with you when he has never been taught how to love himself. And most men, a lot of men, there are few men, watch this, who are looking for a woman to overcompensate for his lack of being able to love himself. So while it is that we don't discuss it, there are a lot of men who are more needy than women, but it comes out in a different kind of way. So because you're not always affirming me, when you don't affirm me, I'll use that as the excuse as to why I cheat. So I went somewhere else because I needed somebody else to tell me how great I was. Well, she don't know that you trifling. She don't yet know that you a liar yet. So I'm gonna give her some time to figure all of that out. Now, if you want me to play the dizzy blonde role, I can do that for a minute. But at some point, Eve had to wake up from the sleep and say, God, did you give me this man? Are you giving me a man who has authority, who has property, who has a prayer life and understand what it means to be patient? If that is not the man, God, put me back to sleep and don't wake me again until the man you got for me is prepared. Now, the flip side of that, Christian sisters, hear me, the flip side of that is that many theologians falsely, erroneously declare and decry that women are responsible for the fall of man. That is not true. It is not true because notice if you read Genesis 1, 2, and 3, God never, ever, ever had a conversation with Eve. Everything that he spoke it to Adam. Adam was supposed to be the priest of the house, but because he never pastored his house, he got a member that's backsliding because she was never discipled. I can't hear nobody. You got to get to a place, I got to ask the man, not can he just provide for me, not just can he provide for my children, not is he going to buy me what I need, not just is he going to remember my birthday. I got to ask myself, can this man pastor me? If I cannot respect his spiritual authority, y'all ain't talking back to me. If I cannot hear from him what it is that God is saying, not only am I going to be messed up, but I'm going to mess him up, and it's going to curse the whole family, and we'll be put out of our appropriate place. Is the man I am related to, connected to, does this man have a prayer life? And so we went around in that first panel asking the wrong thing. Are you testing the waters before the marriage? Before the marriage, sisters, you ought to be asking, you love me, you bought me shoes, you took me to dinner, do me a favor, pray with me real quick. Oh, I can't hear nobody. You better test them waters. See, if he won't pray for you on this side, when things become rough and tumultuous, you're going to be in the house with an atheist trying to pray yourself out of a storm. You got to find out in the beginning, is this man priest material? We have, watch this, much of where it is that we are is because we have reduced our standard. We have reduced our standard because we have lost what our grandparents coined the expression of courtship. We have lost the beauty of courtship. Now we just all in with nothing to lose, not realizing you getting ready to be the biggest loser. What is the standard? If I can get it from everywhere, there's a 7-Eleven right on this corner, there's a 7-Eleven 3 blocks down. So if they don't have a Slurpee, I know I can go down the street and go get another. I can't hear nobody. See, you got to make up in your mind, if I know my value, if I know what I bring to the table, then why do I offer the same thing the animals do? There's got to be something different about my thinking and about my offering that suggests, listen, I'm not going to sleep with you in order to keep you. There ought to be something that says, you know what, I'm tired of getting it from everywhere. I want to know where I can't get it. Men are ingrained, watch this, for a challenge. If you do not give a man a challenge, it's just going to be a field trip. Y'all don't like this here. He's got to figure out, what can I work for? What can I struggle to get? What is worth fighting for? But you giving it away, and then you won't cry after they're gone, feel guilty at the church and snide and roll around at the altar. God, why'd you do? God ain't do this to you. You didn't operate as a Proverbs 31 woman. You operating under a false pretense because you are at the same level he's in. The standard, watch this, has got to be set at such a high level that you are so uncompromising and so unyielding in your convictions that you make up in your mind, I would rather be by myself, watch this, than have somebody fall in love with a me that ain't me. Y'all just missed that. See, if you got to keep doing tricks to get them, you're going to have to do more tricks in order to keep them. But if you make up in your mind, I am not a magician, I do not work for Cirque du Soleil, this is what I do. If you can't handle that, y'all ain't talking back to me, then you got to look somewhere else. But I need somebody who will be real enough to deal with me where it is that I am. And most times, the men don't have to tell you what it is that they want because there is no expectation. I can't hear nobody. You have not set a standard of protocol that what separates you from